Welcome to Season 2, Episode 17 of the Bulls Recap Podcast. I'm Joe Cowley of the Chicago Sun-Times. You could follow me at the Sun-Times Sports section if you're reading something else. I'm probably not in it. Or you can follow me at J. Cowley Hoops. Football season's over. It's a little better of a follow for the football people. It's a little less achy. So I was going to go a different direction. I got my guys here. Matt Peck, Big Dave, at Blau. Can I say Blau? Is that how you guys do it? I love it.
You got to say it. No, you got to say it like Avery Johnson is saying it, bro. Bow.
Bow. Okay. And then obviously at Bulls_Peck. So I had a whole different thing planned. And then I'm scrolling through my email about an hour ago. And I get an email. And this is why it's perfect I'm having you guys on. I get an email from a guy. He said, his name's Jim. So old Jimmy boy says, my columns lately have been the same old monotonous thing over and over, the same attacks on Arturas. He'd rather be where they are now than 20-62 at the end of the year. And so then I said, all right, let me do a little self-scouting. Have I gone too much at Arturas lately? Probably. And then I took it a step further and I said, you know what? How about you give me a damn different product for the last 4 years and I'll start writing a whole new damn column, Jimmy boy. and so I was like, if there's 20,000 Jimmy boys, there is no incentive. All you need in this big ass city of Chicago is 15 to 20,000 Jimmy boys to come to the United Center, love the fact that they're competitive. When they're down 20, they fight back. Love the fact that the offense is high-paced. Love the fact that Josh Giddey has found a new home. Love the fact that Modest has taken the jump. And then come mid-April, love the fact that the season's over and we're going straight to baseball. Am I crazy for writing the same shit for the last month over and over again, hoping someone hears the message?
Dave, you mind if I take the first crack at this one?
I had nothing to go ahead. I wasn't saying anything.
First of all, thank you for having us both back on
Anytime.
the program, Joe. Always a pleasure. My take on that is this: if a Bulls fan has more of an issue with a Bulls beat reporter writing the same story for the past 4 years, more so than they have a problem with that beat reporter covering the team and telling the truth, which is that the product on the floor has been the same for the last 4 years. Yeah, they play a different style of ball. No more DeMar ISO. They're playing faster. They're shooting more threes. The roster's turned over. But at the midway point of each of the last 4 seasons, they have either been 2 or 3 games under 500. And of the previous 3 seasons that have come to full completion, they also finished 2 or 3 games under 500. Oh, and by the way, lost to the same team in the play-in tournament each of those 3 years. Do you have a problem with the team being covered accurately more so than you have a problem with the team's results? Because some people and some fans are okay with what has transpired over the last 3.5 seasons, and some aren't. And that's just the reality of the situation.
Joe, yes, to answer your question, yes, you are crazy.
Well, that's
it's not. Well, yes, for many reasons.
That's a whole separate question.
Yes. But for this instance, you're not crazy. You've been made crazy about this because you're being forced to write the same thing over and over and over again. It's not like you want to, do it this way. Like nobody wants to continue to hear the same thing over and over again. But at the same time, like Matt said, nobody wants to see the same exact thing over and over again when it's mediocrity. The only things we want to see over and over again is great basketball. That's what you want to watch all the time. Every time you turn on your television, you want to see it. I say to Matt and Will all the time, I love watching greatness. It's my jam. It's what I grew up with. It's how I enjoy it. So the fact I don't get a chance to see it, and I'm supposed to be okay with this team continuing to be in the middle. Listen, when Matt told me that stat, that the Bulls have an opportunity to win between 39 and 43 games for the 4th straight year, and it's never happened in NBA history before, my brain exploded. Because who would be comfortable with that? Like, who would be okay with just sitting in the middle and standing pat and just being all right with that? Well, AK, that's who's okay with it. But that's why, you are loved by me, Joe, because you're not going to sit there and stand for that and be like, no, bro, this is not okay. None of this is okay when you're sitting here wanting to be mediocre. That is simply not good enough here for the Chicago Bulls.
You brought up a good point because, obviously I don't think it's a secret that I'm a fandom of one team. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I grew up where the bar is this. This is the bar. So anything since 2008 has been a disappointment. It didn't matter if they got to the Super Bowl in 10 and lost to Green Bay. It's a horrible season as far as I'm concerned because the bar is up here. I understand why Bears, lower IQ fan base, I get that.
Oh.
I understand why they don't. Their bar. Just bear with me.
Take that right now.
Listen, a guy from Ohio, that Ohio, Pennsylvania football blood running through me. It just has a different bar than Illinois football. It just does. But it's great. I mean, like you looked at this last weekend and you thought, what an unbelievable throw by Caleb Williams because. That's how you guys are taught to think. I looked at it what it was. It was a Hail Mary and a push-off. There's been 100 of those. That's what it was.
Right. You ain't seen this.
To make my point.
You ain't seen it. No, Joe.
You're making my point.
You can't drop that and think you're going to walk away from it. How dare you?
I grew up with a standard.
I think somebody who just had to endure a season of Old Man Rodgers is jealous that the Bears have Caleb freaking Williams right now. I think that's what's going on.
That's right, son.
So Caleb Williams in his second year did what he did. Second year, Big Ben, we were holding up a Lombardi. That's the difference.
That's a great difference. That's a great difference, and we will continue on.
It will continue next fall.
A better football team.
Windows close a lot quicker than people think. I'm just saying.
It's true.
So
not on
you guys grew up with a level of basketball where the standard should be a championship. That it's been lowered to where it is and that it's okay when you look at attendance is not only the greatest trick that the devil has pulled off, but is mind-boggling that a fan base watched Bears do a soft tank to get where they are now. The Cubs do a tank to win a World Series. The White Sox do a tank to get to the playoffs. That the window closed on it, but it was a tank. Mm-hmm. And so many fans are anti-tank with the Bulls, where it's the easiest sport to tank and to get somebody. Look at Detroit. Yeah, I don't care if it was 10, 12, 13 years, because they're poised to have a 5-year, 6-year run. People better pay attention to Charlotte and what they're doing. They finally have smart ownership. Dude, you just go up and down. Atlanta, what they did the last year. I just don't get it. And you guys deal with the fans a lot more than I do, obviously. I don't get the complacency that this is okay.
Well, I would say that I think a lot of Bulls fans that we talk to on a daily basis, there are some who don't think that 40 and 42 every year until we're all dead is okay, but they do think that it is better somehow than going lower than that for a year or two to try to find talent that can turn things around and get you not only back to where you were, but above and beyond where you have been complacently stuck for the better part of a decade. Because I personally think that even when this team that AK has assembled is fully healthy, you got Giddey, you got Modest in year 2 trying to get better, you got Kobe, you got the Wiley vet Vooch. That team's ceiling, this team's ceiling to me is 46 wins. And that's what they tore down with DeMar and Zach. It's just a different version of mid. And some of those people are like, well, they're younger. Okay, kind of. But Goat pointed out to us the other day, like, yeah, if you take the whole roster and like, oh, we'll take Vooch out, it's the second or third youngest roster in the league.
Right.
Go by minutes played, and the roster is not that young. Okay.
Yeah.
Their 18-year-old rookie played 6 minutes this season, and he's done. Like, it's not like, yes, they're younger, but I still think the ceiling of this younger core is going back to what they were, which was a first-round exit team, and that shouldn't be good enough.
Right.
You can't find talent free agency anymore, and AK has not exactly been hitting home runs with the trades he's made, at least in my opinion. Where do you find franchise talent otherwise? The answer is the draft. The higher you draft, the better.
Yeah, that's just a fact. And nobody wants to lose. Like, no, I don't think any of us are like, hey, we enjoy losing, but we understand it if there's a plan behind it. So that's what we're saying here, like what you're talking about, Joe, with the tank. We get that. If teams are going to tank, win 20 games, that's because you're trying to get a higher draft pick, trying to reshape your roster, trying to bring in some vets, do some certain things like that. That makes all the sense in the world. You can sell that to any fan, especially a Bulls fan who was never going to go anywhere. You can sell that to us because we understand that it makes intellectual sense. But to tell us like, yo, I'm starting here. This is what we're going to be. We're going to be this team up here. And then year by year, do this and then stop right here. And then just say, nope, we're just going to handle it and have it happen right here. That will forever be a problem with people like me, with people like Matt, because you're insulting, in my opinion. It becomes insulting after a while.
Right.
You know, when you just say it like that to fans, you're like, oh, no, here's, like you said, here's a hat, here's a Dunkin' race. You know what I mean? Like, you can enjoy that. Save some popcorn. And
free
all that
hot
stuff
dogs,
is
baby.
fun.
Free hot dogs.
Hey, all that stuff is fun. All that stuff is cool. All right, talk to me about the product on the floor. What is going to continue to make me come to this stadium to watch this team? Because at some point in time, that popcorn is going to get stale and sticky. At some point in time, that hat isn't going to look as cool because I have them all. You know what I mean? Like, at some point in time, I'm going to want to watch the game about what's happening on the floor. And if you can't provide that to a fan, if you can't provide that, you are failing. You are absolutely failing.
I'm just going to make an assumption here. Dave's always kind of the beacon of positivity. This is the most broken I think Dave has sounded in the last couple of years. It feels like it's kind of just grating on you. And I don't think people understand something. They think, they watch what you guys do and they read what I write or say or whatever it is, and they think, oh, negative, especially Matt, you get this more than Big Dave, but negative. They don't understand that your guys' website, what works is when there's eyes on you, and eyes come through winning. When I'm being read, it's not when it's a point the finger story. It's not an Arturis blame game column. It's when there's something great going on in there in second place in the Eastern Conference and what's going right and what do they feel about this and how are they kind of positioning for the playoffs. That's where you get most eyes. That's where you get most ears. That's where you get most voices. So this idea that we go out of our way to be negative because we somehow hate the Bulls or hate the product or hate this or hate that is just false. There's a livelihood attached to it. I mean, I'm going to get paid the same whether this thing ends in mid-April or it stretches to June. So it doesn't really affect me like that, but I know it affects a lot of people and what they're trying to do as far as eyes on the product. And I don't think people fully understand that.
Yeah, I think a lot of Bulls fans and some who watch our show to argue with me or to hate watch me because they have different opinions than I do. They think I want the Bulls to be bad.
Yeah,
I don't. Look, I enjoy being right as a passionate sports fan and somebody who hosts a show talking about my favorite of all of my teams. And when I am right about my low expectations for the Bulls, I like to rub it in the faces mostly of the Bulls, not of the other fans who I disagree with. When they started the season 5-0, our show had the biggest numbers we'd ever seen by far.
There you go.
By far. And I was thinking, this ain't going to last. But boy, you know what? I would be so okay as somebody obsessed with being right all the time about everything, not just Bulls basketball, about everything. I would be so okay with being wrong about this team's low ceiling, about being wrong for being a Josh Giddey skeptic. If this team just shocks the NBA world and has a 50-plus win season, because it would mean that our show would explode in viewership and popularity. That's what I want. I want our show to be bigger and better because the team is bigger and better. I relish being right about the Bulls being stuck in mid still, but I only relish it this much compared to what I would relish covering a team that was actually good again.
Joe, I say this to people all the time. I know I am insanely positive. Like, I am an optimist person. That is who I am at my core and my nature. But what's also at my core and my nature is I'm honest as hell. And I'm gonna be straight up for real with you. It's one of the things me and Matt bond over. It doesn't matter how we look at the world.
Right.
We're gonna end up at the same place, which is the truth, which is the honest thing. So when it's real, I'm gonna tell you it's real. When you're doing right, I'm gonna call you on it right. When you're doing wrong, I'm gonna tell you it's wrong, bro. I might hug you after, and Matt might just walk away from you, but we both gonna tell you the same thing. You know what I mean? So that's the difference of this. I'm not gonna BS you. I'm just not. You know what I mean? Who I am is who I am, but I'm not blind, bro. like we see what's happening and we understand what's going on, and it's not okay. When you even mentioned Charlotte, I was screaming about Charlotte after the draft because I kept talking about Con Knipple, and I'm like, bro, that is a culture change right there. That dude is a culture. I was like, they need to trade LaMelo now. I was like, that is a culture change going on right now, guys. Do you feel this shift? And now look at him. He's number one on the rookie ladder. You know what I'm saying? Over Cooper Flagg, who everybody had penciled in, including us, as being that rookie of the year. You can look at Washington and what they're trying to do, how they're taking on these contracts and just bringing guys in, how they're like, hey, we're going to trade for Trae Young. Now go sit. Now go sit down so we can keep on doing what we've been doing and losing these games so we can get a higher draft pick and be better. At some point in time, these teams are going to lap you, and you are going to become the laughing stock. You are going to become that team that is on Shaqtin' a Fool consistently. Like, you are going to become that squad, man. And that is a horrible place to be because once you decide to get out of it, you're in it, and that's it. And you're not going to be able to move or stand still. Like, that's it. That's going to be yours. So, yeah, that's what's upsetting about this. Trust me, the Bears broke me before this team broke me. You know what I mean? Like, this doesn't break me. You know what I mean? I saw Mike. This will never break me. But, yeah, man, like, this is still sad, though. It's absolutely sad.
You brought up a guy that I was obviously in love with and praying that the Bulls could trade up and get. And I will say they did make some calls, and they were told by the lovely Duke coach, unless you trade up, you ain't getting even close to him. He's going to go top 5. He's an adult. He is making LaMelo look like the unserious basketball player that he is. He is the future of the Charlotte Hornets. I mean, luckily the Bulls, I think that was their extra game that was picked up with the play-in tournament. So we had a chance to see them, more than just a couple times. And he's just fun to watch, just understanding the spacing. I know Billy Donovan loved him. So, and plus I invested in some Con Knipple stuff before the season, but we won't get into that. So just keep doing what you're doing there, Con. I'm behind you, buddy. But like, even
is
like,
there Con Knipple stock beyond just the metaphorical, like, oh, I bought a lot of stock in this young player?
There's some things you could do that helps your finances. Yeah.
We got to talk, Joe. We got to talk.
Yeah. So here's the thing too. That's just a total just wind up and kick you in the balls. This 25 draft class is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And maybe the 26 draft class trumps it. But as of right now, this 25 draft class just going around this first half, I'm anxious to see what they look like the second half with adjustments and this all-star break where guys can sit down, watch film, self-scout, do that kind of stuff, opposing teams, get a better feel. That's usually the telltale of how legit you are as a rookie. And the Bulls missed. It was so hard to miss in this 25 draft class. And they missed because they took a project because they felt so comfortable with their contract extensions and with the runway that they have. And I will say this, and I've written it, and I stand behind it. You guys might not believe it, especially you, Matt, but the runway could have some construction and might not be as long as AK thinks it's going to be. I would say this year, next year, if there is not something that changes in this path, be careful, AK, because this idea that you've got this lifetime contract and this lifetime scholarship that Pax had, you might be finding out. And I hope I'm right. And I hope the people I've talked to are right, that the runway is not as long as you think, unless this starts going away where people can say, okay, now I see the path.
I mean, AK did not help Jerry win 3 championships as a player and then continue to stick around the organization and help them or be involved with them winning 3 more championships in other capacities. He should not have that lifetime pass that John Paxson had and continues to have. Shout out to him for, still pulling those senior advisor checks out of Jerry's pocket.
By the way, he looks 15 years younger since he handed that baton to AK and said, all right, you got it now, big boy.
I'm sure his life is a lot less stressful now. And like, just like Paxson hated facing the media back in the day, now AK hates facing the media.
Yeah.
Especially, dude, Chicago, like, media, to the credit of you guys who are actually there asking the questions, Dave and I are just sitting in our comfy seats in the studio down the street from the UC, hurling things, casting aspersions from afar. But you got to make these people answer to their failures, even if their employers don't, so that you can point around to the rest of the people who care about this team, follow this team, cover this team. This is not good enough. So I hope you're right in that theory that maybe AK's leash is not that long if what we have seen for the last 4 years continues. But I think some people would say, hey, we actually think he did a really good job with the Okoro for Lonzo trade, or we think he really did a really good job with the Josh Giddey for Alex Caruso trade, and he got Iowa in the second round. Like, people who believe in AK and the job he's doing can point to certain things to say, yeah, but. But the biggest but is, dude, you've lost in the play-in tournament 3 straight years. You've been a sub-500 team for 3 straight years. At what point does that run out? And, going all the way back to what you said about, Asenge, I'm not ready to call him a bust. An 18-year-old who played professionally overseas came in and just couldn't get into the rotation because Billy doesn't trust or like to play young players, and he was the second youngest player in his draft class. I was not shocked that Noah couldn't get on the floor. But what made little sense to me, and I think is a hit on AK, is if you are insisting that your team is, quote, competitive and that you are a, quote, win-now team, why are you drafting a project? You got enough toolsy wings on your bench already. Why are you drafting another project who your coach who trusts veteran players more will not be, excited and eager to play on a nightly basis? Why are you drafting a player like that if your coach ain't going to play him? That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dave, let me ask you this real quick. You do you think there's going to be a trade? Do you what is your feeling? I mean, obviously, I do think that they are as poised to make moves as they've been this last year. I just don't know if they could do it. I know I've talked to executives, and and AK is as transparent as he's been. So that's a good step, because he was really difficult to work with for 4.5 years. Okay. Last February was the first time where executives felt like, okay, we now understand the value you're putting on guys because you're not holding everything tight to the purse. We understand what you're looking for. We can kick this down the road, maybe for the offseason, or revisit it, because now we feel like we have a grasp on something, where for the first 4 years, they had no intel whatsoever because AK thought this was some kind of spy game or something.
Yes.
So what if like, my gut feeling is, I know they are talking to teams. I know some of the bodies that are being talked about, but can they pull it off? What say you? Do you think that there is a deal to be had, or several deals to be had? Because we're about 2.5 weeks away from this thing.
Yeah. Do I think he'll make a trade? Yes.
Yeah.
Do I think I'll like it? No.
Okay.
Joe,
fair.
Mr. Joe Cowley, like we talked about earlier, I'm a very optimistic guy. We understand this, but I won't stand for foolishness. I never have. I never will. And last year, and Matt was sitting right next to me at the trade deadline, when they basically did, nothing at the trade deadline, I completely destroyed the set that we were on. I took a bat to the set live, and I was losing my mind watching this, because I cannot stand incompetence. I can't stand it. It bothers me in my stomach and to my soul. And it felt incompetent to what I saw last year. I wasn't happy the previous year, with it either. So I'm a person who will learn from those mistakes. I will go into this season not expecting anything that I'm going to like and just hope to be surprised, which is a sad thing to be. It's a sad, sad situation to be in as a fan. I hope he does the right thing. Like, I hope it's like this. And hope is cool when you're playing. Hope is not cool when you're a front office person. Yeah. It's not the thing you want. Like, I want proof. You need hard facts. You need numbers. You need things of this nature and something to back that up and some cachet with it, on top of that to back that up. But if you're continually giving me the same thing, which is nothing, then I'm not going to be excited when you're like, oh man, well now I'm ready to do it. Like, let's do it now. That's like me being excited about Patrick Williams scoring 13 points. Like, for what? What I'm supposed to be excited about, bro? It's still trash. Like, it's still trash that I'm looking at. So, yes, I think that something will happen, Joe. I do. But I'm not expecting to like it at all, and I'm not expecting it to be the right deal at all.
Is there anybody you guys don't want traded? I mean, obviously, if there's a huge deal, no one, when you're a crap team like this, everyone is touchable. But
yeah,
in your mind, are there a couple of guys that you'd say, yeah, I'd like to continue to watch him as a Bull, and I like what he's doing?
Yes.
Who
there
are
two?
Okay.
Like, for me, one is Ayo. I would like Ayo to stay. I understand if he doesn't. I get it. Trust me. But if I had a choice, I would want Ayo Dosunmu to stay, not just for the basketball, but what he means to the city of Chicago. Gotcha. Like, I would love Ayo Dosunmu to continue to be here. And two is Modest. Like I'm not letting go of Modest. Of course, nobody's untradeable. If you're offering me something incredible, yes I understand that. Yeah. But if I had to choose, it would absolutely be those two.
What about you, Matt?
I'm right there with Dave, and I knew the two names he was going to say before he said them. Like, look, I feel that way about Ayo too. God, this guy has been great. Dave was just running down some stats of his on our show yesterday about what he's doing over the last 10 games, but then also the season as a whole. He's got a 70 true shooting percentage over the last 10 games. Yeah. I think he's like 4th or 5th in the entire NBA in overall 3-point shooting percentage right now. And you know the effort he gives you on the defensive end. Is he a great defensive player? No. But he's a try-hard defensive player at least.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about this roster and two-way players, that's better than most. And with Modest, no one is untradeable when your team is under 500 at the midway point of the season for the 4th year in a row. No one is untradeable. But I tend to have a belief in a higher ceiling for Modest than what we saw in his rookie year and what we've seen so far in year 2. But while it might not be an explosion of stats and front runner for most improved player award, which he himself set for, as a goal for himself this season, he'll probably fall short of that because of the stats not being eye popping, but he didn't start his first game until a year ago today as a rookie. He has started, knock on wood, for crying out loud, every game so far this season. Yeah. And in this recent stretch of games with Kobe missing a handful of games again, with Josh Giddey missing a handful of games again, Modest's usage has gone up and his production's gone up. So I want to see that continue because I believe in Modest's future in this league. We were just talking to Legs on our show the other day, Flex, and Tim Legler said, I've talked to a lot of people around the NBA about Modest Buzelis. A lot of people like this kid. I think he's going to be really, really good. So for that reason and the fact that I believe in him myself, I would be bummed if Modest gets moved before the trade deadline. I don't think he will because I think even AK has the sense to know there's not a lot of excitement from the fan base right now about what we're building, but the young fans of this team, big Modest fans.
Yeah. One name you want to see go?
Patrick Williams.
I mean, probably one of the hardest contracts to trade in the NBA right now, if we're being honest.
Yes, it is. I know.
Sacramento right now is like, oh, is it really? But you know the names I want to see go, Joe. Yeah.
And none of them are on the name on the back of a Bulls jersey that we're watching every night. All right. Yeah. Let's be honest about that. This organization has bigger problems that the player they need to trade most desperately between now and 2 weeks from now. But again, I like Dave, my hopes are not high for AK knocking this trade deadline out of the park? Do I think he'll make a move? Probably. But I think the players that they have on their roster right now who probably would garner the most in a trade are Trey Jones and Jalen Smith, two guys who have been playing really well lately on team-friendly contracts that go beyond this season. Those are your trade value pieces, but are you going to get to that 9th seed without them? Maybe not. So AK's going to hold on to those guys. You freaking know it.
And the main reason, the initial conversation before I got the email and old Jimmy Boy set me off was going to be about this weekend, Derrick Rose night. Now, I'm going to say something that's pretty surprising. I think people that watch or follow or have been informed of me in the past knows that I haven't always had the greatest opinion of Derrick Rose.
You're a hater, Joe. Just call
hater.
So
here's what I'm going to do. I've had conversations in the last year with people that I really respect, NBA people. I've had couple life changes the last month or so where I've kind of taken stock in exactly, kind of who you are and what you take with you and what stays and what doesn't stay when we all go to our final spot. I'm going to try and enjoy Saturday. I'm going to enjoy it for what it was rather than dwell on, because it comes down, if Derrick and I ever sit down and talk, which may happen or may not happen, it's going to come down to a bitch session of a he said. And that's really what it's going to come down to. And who wanted to hang on to that longer? I am throwing up my white flag. I don't want to hang on to it anymore. The past is the past. So I'm actually going to sit back with an open mind. I said that they should retire his number. I was never anti-Derrick Rose retire his number because I did understand what he meant. It was a comet that went in the sky, but damn, that thing was bright when it was flying by. I don't think it was long enough where you would have to say for sure Hall of Famer, but I'm willing to be open-minded and talk with people about that, just like I have with the other Derrick Rose stuff. So I'm going to sit back and kind of enjoy it for what it means to the city, what it meant to the organization. And I obviously know what it means to, I'm not a Chicago guy. I'm not from Chicago. I came here for a job, but I know what he meant to you guys. So what will Saturday mean? Is it, in your eyes, is it just a ill-timed money grab, distraction, or are you guys, can you bury your flag and say, no, let's let him have this night. This is something special for him and for us and for the community.
Look, let me go first. Let me get mine out the way because I know my man Matt has got some things on this for sure.
Hey, if I bring Noah on, you're not going to cry, are you? I got Noah behind me.
Can't promise you that. Can't promise you that, though. Can't promise you that. First of all, Joe, that is awesome to hear you say everything you just said. Honestly, that is great to hear, and I would love to if you guys sat down and talked, even if we weren't privy to the conversation. That would be dope if y'all just had that. Like, I think that'd be cool. You know what I mean? Iron out some things because, as you say, time heals all wounds. You know what I mean? As they kind of say, and time is definitely going on, and perspectives change and things like that. So where you're at, right? I love hearing that stuff. Honestly. Obviously, I love Derrick Rose. Like, it's Derrick Rose. He changed everything for this Bulls team. I mean, took them from the baby Bulls from the second he got here, gave you that hope and that aspiration that this team could be something better. So when you saw that Boston game 1 of the playoffs, like, I remember everything about it. Like, it was a, welcome to the league kind of situation. Like, hey guys, I'm here kind of situation. Game 1 for Derrick Rose. I believe he had 35 in that game. So what he's meant to Chicago, you really can't express enough. And I really can't put into proper words what he has meant to the city. But there's a reason when grown men and women see him and they start crying. There's a reason when that happens like that. He means that much to people, not just here in Chicago, but everywhere, but especially and specifically this city. I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait to see that jersey go into the rafters. That is going to be just a phenomenal moment to sit there and watch that young man get those, roses. that I feel so richly deserves for what he did here in Chicago on and off the floor. Is it a money grab? You damn right it is. It's absolutely a money grab. They're doing a part 2 to this. Me and Matt joke about maybe they're doing a part 3. Maybe they make this a yearly thing about it. It is absolutely a money grab. I won't let that take away from what that moment is for that young man and what it's going to mean to him to see that and to have his family see that and have his teammates see that and have the city see that, go up there and be next to the greats of this organization, man. So it's going to be a great moment. I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait to see it. I'm happy I'm going to get to be there. See it, Joe. If you want to stop by the suite, say what's up. You're more than welcome to.
Yeah, let me know. Yeah, I will.
Yes, sir. But it's going to be a great time. I'm sure some people will get emotional about it. I don't think I'll be emotional or anything about it like that. But I do recognize the moment because I know what Derrick Rose meant, and it will bring back all these memories I have of where I was when I saw this and where I was when I saw that, and just the man he is now. We had the pleasure and the honor to actually, meet him at Summer League when he was doing his Chestival and his Chestival tournament. And our guy Will Gottlieb, got to interview him, but he still
saw that. He did a good job. Yep.
Incredible job. And he still gave us time and gave us our moment to say, thank you, and gave Matt his time to let him know what he meant to him. And, just showed us all, some real love, man. You can smell the maturity on that young man right now. Like, it is awesome for him. So, yeah, all that said, Joe, I'm really excited to see it. I'm very excited for that day. It's going to be insane. It's going to be bigger than the game. And, yeah, he deserves it.
What about you, Matt?
He unquestionably deserves it. And, as Dave just mentioned, that was my first opportunity, and I think yours too, right, Dave, to meet D Rose when we were out in Vegas for Summer League this past summer. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell him, like, yo, man, you and your teammates on that team really relit the fire of Bulls fandom inside me. It never went away, but it was flickering for a while when the team was, meandering. D Rose means that to every Bulls fan, and especially Chicagoan Bulls fans, and he will always be that to me, and I will always appreciate him for that. Like, it's why I'm doing this, talking to y'all right now. It's why it's my job, is because of D Rose and loving him and that team that much. I was able to make my peace with the money grab thing last year, when they did this last year.
Yeah.
I told Dave, I told our GM, I told everybody when this news came around the corner last time, I don't want to do this. And especially, I was very uncomfortable asking viewers of our show, fans of our show, to buy this ridiculous price point ticket.
Yeah.
Because I am on our platform most nights saying, Bulls fans, y'all need to send a message if you're not happy with the product on the floor. And step one is stop giving Jerry your money. All right?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be a part of that. I felt like a hypocrite. So Dave and people talked me into realizing, like, look, it's about more than that. And I'm glad that I was there last year to see that last year. Part 2, having a part 2 to honor a player who has retired is 200% a money grab. And if the answer to why didn't you had the whole ceremony a year ago, put the jersey up there. Put the jersey up there. There are only 2 answers to why they didn't. One is they are so oblivious to what they should do as an organization to the players who have earned that honor that they didn't even think about it. And I have a hard time believing that, but I suppose it's possible. It still makes them look bad. The second possible answer is we purposefully split it up and honored him, but didn't put the jersey up so that we could do this again next year, and everybody to make sure to get your number 1 shaped nachos available one night only at the Madhouse. Make sure you get to the Madhouse team store nice and early so you can sit down in your seat and enjoy the festivities. It is a money grab. It is a disgusting money grab. And I feel the worst, not just as like a cynical Bulls fan who's sick of this crap. I don't like it for Derrick because it should be about him. It's his honor. They are using him as a vessel to stuff their pockets. And that makes me, as a Bulls fan who loves and appreciates Derrick for what he did for this team, feel sick. So part 2, Dave and other members of our CHGO community are going to be there Saturday night with some other Bulls fans, some of whom are joining them in attendance. I will be at our studio watching the game on TV because I told Dave, I told our GM, I told everybody, I'm not doing this again because I can't be that hypocrite who's on our show saying, don't spend money on this team until things are better, and then go say, yay, Derrick Rose nachos. No, not twice. Not twice, Jerry.
You brought up an A and a B, and the funny thing is, because I actually know what happened, it's a mishmash of both, which may be the ultimate sad category. They were like, well, let's just bring him out because we're not sure if we want to retire his number. And then all of a sudden, once they brought him out and they saw, they were like, wait a second.
Ching, ching.
If we retire his number, we can do that next year because we weren't 100% sure if we wanted to do it. And then it was too late to tell him. And then it's a mishmash. I'm sure that makes you feel way better. I'm sure you'll be at the UC Saturday now in the suite with the loincloth on going, Derrick!
Is it greed or is it incompetence? Surprise, fans!
Somewhere
It's both.
Yeah,
Only
right in the middle,
Bulls, baby.
Only right in the middle, where they live, baby. Right in the middle, right there.
Boys, thanks for doing this. You know I like having you guys on. At Bulls_Peck. You guys follow them, watch them. You guys don't understand, and I've told you this before. I'm going to tell you guys this again. And then obviously at Ball Sports. In the summer, cutting the grass, my favorite thing to do is A, go, what the hell could they have possibly talked about last night? And B, put that on, put the iPads in or the iPods in, and then just go and cut the grass, listening to you guys and having a laugh. So thank you guys for continuing to entertain me. We will continue our conversation when Chris Shula is on the sidelines wearing that black and gold, and Malik Willis is running around doing what he did to the Bears so easily with no prep.
Oh, yeah. You mean lose? You mean lose? Yeah. Doing what he did to the Bears.
We will continue this conversation come next fall as your window closes after 1 year of a Hail Mary.
Wow.
Y'all gonna be hanging out with Mike Tomlin in Cancun.
I love
Mike
T.
I love Mike Tomlin.
Putting that shade aside, putting that shade aside, I'm going to take the high road. It is a two-way street, Joe, because just on yesterday's show, when the Bulls aren't playing a game that day, but we still got to fill 5 shows a week, we were talking about your reporting in one of your columns over the last couple of days about the whole Pelican
sniper shots.
Well, I love those parts, but no, we were talking about the whole, like, Zion might be off the table, but hey, what about Eve Meese? Like, we talked about that on our show yesterday with a pull quote graphic of your column. So, you know, I'm glad that we can keep you entertained while you're mowing the lawn in the summertime. But hey, man, some of the reporting you do along with our guy Goat on that Bulls beat is, you know,
Will. I don't think people, and you guys know, I don't think people in the industry know how good Will Gottlieb is, and it's not a slight on you guys, know how much bigger of a stage he should be on, because I think he, you know, I don't know how much longer I got this, but I know when I walk out the door, if Will Gottlieb is in that city still, I'm going to tell every editor and everybody in the Sun-Times as I'm walking out that door, you got to hire this dude to replace me, because he's legit.
Yeah.
Will knows how I feel about him.
No offense to you, you're right.
He is.
No,
he's the best. You guys got a good one, and you guys do what you do, and it's a great
I tell him all the time, Joe. The thing about Will is not a guy who does praise. You know what I mean?
No,
he doesn't he's not that guy. But I'm the guy to heap it on him. I've been telling him since day one.
You guys are both like the Ben Affleck and Good Will Hunting. You beat his ass because you're telling him, get the hell out of here. Leave us behind. You Southies.
Yeah.
He's so
if Goat is still doing hard construction work with me and Big Dave on a Chicago highway 20 years from now, we're going to be really upset about that.
Yeah, exactly. Love it. Thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe.
All right. You guys take care. Love having those guys on. All right, let's go to the rant. The island, Cowley Island. And I'm going to touch on this in the list. But the rant, it's I want to shake somebody, and I want to say this is a quick, easy turnaround, maybe even painless turnaround, because I'm watching what Atlanta's sneaky doing in not the last couple years, And just like the last couple months, going back to June, the trade on draft night to give New Orleans Derrick Queen and take their unprotected first-round pick, and right now to be set up at possibly the top of the lottery with now you have a couple budding stars that are young, and then you take your $81 million that you are going to have invested in Trae Young for the next couple years. You move that, you bring in expiring contracts, CJ McCollum, that package. You're going to get rid of that money because it's expiring. So now you are not only you don't have the cap room that the Bulls are going to have, because they're probably going to have the most cap space in the NBA besides them and possibly Brooklyn if Brooklyn continues to do what it's doing. But you have draft assets, you have young talent that's on the verge of stardom, and you have cap space in less than 4 or 5 months. What are we doing? What are we doing? Don't tell me you can't do it. It's being done by an Atlanta team that's the same mediocrity crap that you've been the last 4 or 5 years, but now they've understood that they have to have some growing pains, get out of it, but do it on the fly. Magnificent job by the Atlanta Hawks, who all of a sudden are way smarter than the Bulls. All right, let's go to the list. I mentioned the Atlanta Hawks. I'm going to mention 3 teams right now, and I wrote about this, and I don't think it could be stressed enough. These 3 teams are the 3 teams that, as constructed right now, are poised to not only pass the Bulls next season, maybe the season after, but by a lot if the Bulls don't understand it. And there might be more, but these are just the 3. Atlanta, mentioned why. They're going to have cap space, they have draft assets, and they have budding stars that the Bulls don't have. The Bulls have some stars, some potential stars, not budding stars like Atlanta. The other team we talked about earlier when Big Dave and Matt were on, the Charlotte Hornets. That one may take another year. They may have to dip their toe back in the lottery and get lucky. But Knipple, Miller, Bridges, and who knows what they do with him if they keep him out of trouble. If you could get off the LaMelo Ball contract and get out of the nonsense of unserious basketball, look out for the Charlotte Hornets. I like what they're building there. It's the first time in a long time where we could say, look out for the Charlotte Hornets. And the other team, the sneaky Indiana Pacers. They're at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. Last I checked, maybe they're second at the bottom. Tyrese Halliburton, obviously, blown Achilles, was going to be out for the year. They have Siakam played at an all-star level. Their contract, their core is locked up for the next couple of years. It's not going anywhere. And now that you're taking such a beating this year without Halliburton, you possibly could have a top 3 pick. AJ DeBonsa, Peterson from Kansas, or Boozer. You add one of those into the mix, you get Tyrese Halliburton back, and then another year of that core getting healthy. They were in the NBA Finals for a reason last season. They will quickly jump up and pass the Bulls up. Quickly. So that's the list. 3 teams that the Bulls are in danger of. They might be in the review mirror right now, but they're going to be looking up at them starting next season, possibly maybe 2 years for Charlotte. But so that's the list. I want to thank the 2 boys. Love having them on. Love breaking down a lot of stuff. And that's it. Until next week. I got next.